Hello, and welcome to the first episode. Actually, it's going to be episode 000 of Teroka podcast.
Sounds about right.
Yep. I am Kidd, and he is Kesh.
Hello there. Welcome to Teroka.
Yes, and together we will be having some casual conversations.
Maybe a little bit of kidding around.
Look at us. Please don't. It's going to get better, guys, I promise. It's not going to be all the way like this. Starting off with some shock scenery joke.
Yeah, I think that was pretty good. Was that all yours, original? You didn't steal it from anywhere?
Yeah, I thought about it when I drove over, man. I was like, But there's one at one point, I think it was Sina FM, where their hosts are like making a lot of jokes on air and people got annoyed.
What?
Yeah, I saw it on Reddit lah, so I don't know whether is it a fair representation of like how Malaysian feels or how Malay who listen to it feel. Yeah, but I thought it was interesting. Anyway, we have already done at this point 3 episodes.
3, yeah.
3? Yeah, we are supposed to do our 4th one sometime soon, I hope, talking about poverty in Malaysia or in everywhere actually. So it's a tough problem to solve, guys. There's a lot of poor people around, and it's been a lot of poor people since the start of time.
Yeah, and like financial stability is actually like, a pretty dangerous thing as well. Because a lot of life depends on it, no?
Yeah, so just to give you a bit of what to expect over the first 3 episodes that we have recorded, we have talked about health. Our very first episode was about health with this lady named Evelyn. Evelyn is what does she call herself again? Therapist, right? Manual therapist. Yeah, she was previously an occupational therapist working in hospitals, and she has this grand new way. Well, not really new, but really new in Malaysia. But they started in 1960s in France, where they look at your organs and how it interacts with the pain that you experience in your neck, on your lower back, on your legs, on your butt. Pretty interesting insights that we have never thought about, but I'm sure everyone experienced some pain one form or another. Cash got a little bit of a trial at the end of the session.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. And I was a little bit, hesitant to believe before the episode, but once I spoke to her, like, wow, fuck man, opened my eyes.
It's quite legit, isn't it?
So yeah, check it out. Check out that episode. It should be up by now if you're already seeing this. We also had another pretty interesting dude, Pia Chai.
Yes.
P, and he is a certified Wim Hof instructor.
Yes.
Surely you must know Wim Hof right now. Like, he's the biggest thing of 2019 already.
Was he 2019?
I'm just exaggerating. Well, come on, everybody's talking about Wim Hof.
Right.
And his breathing techniques and how he can scale mountains almost naked.
Yeah. It's crazy, dude. And P is also fully certified, but also does other breathing training, breathing exercises. And I think that's very insightful for people who especially have a lot of stress. If you're stressed out all the time, you're not breathing properly. Basically, that's it.
Breathe, guys.
Yeah.
Breathe, motherfucker.
Like during that podcast itself, I also feel like, gotta breathe.
I feel like he was watching me, like.
Yeah, dude, it's intense, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Intense.
Yeah. And of course, episode 3 we have Afiq Iskandar.
Oh, Amber.
Singer, songwriter, guitarist, trainer. He's a trainer as well.
Yeah, he does a lot of things, and one of the most popular ones is Tarik Jeans, which is their denim brand, and Celaka Tees. Shout out to the Celaka boys. So, podcast. Why?
Maybe we should tell them like how we met. On a dark and stormy, well, it's actually just dinner time at a mamak. We met over nasi lemak lobster, wasn't it?
We didn't actually order the lobster. It didn't really look appetizing actually.
We got the sotong lah, close enough.
Soto, nasi
Yeah.
goreng, lemak.
Nasi
lemak goreng.
Lemak goreng. Nasi goreng lemak. Interesting also.
Right.
Nasi goreng lemak. But anyways, yeah, so we sat down and we talked, and actually I initiated the whole thing because one day I was lying down and I was like, Also, how it happened is actually very funny. So I'm gonna plug myself into this podcast right now.
Please enlighten us. Tell us.
I was lying down and I was thinking about, because I sell property, right? And I'm thinking about the property market, and I'm thinking about all these people who tell me, like back then it's before election day, and they were telling me about, market gonna crash, everyone gonna die, you're gonna lose your job, we're gonna lose our job. Never came to be.
Y2K all over again.
Exactly. People are freaking out and like, election, Najib's gonna win. The most hilarious was that back then I was still a very fresh young sales agent.
Off the boat.
Yeah. And of course sorry. Where was I?
You were a young sales agent.
So I got distracted. So I was a young sales agent. And basically, I was on the phone 25 minutes with this lady who is like rejecting me. But in Malaysia, people find it very hard to say, "Look, I'm not interested. Thank you for your time. Send me some details if I have someone that I can probably recommend." Like, it's very easy to do that, but people don't. It's very hard for people to say no. Right?
Yeah.
It's our culture. So she ended up telling me all sorts of stories
and excuses. I guess.
Yeah, it's hilarious, man. And sorry, it got so bad where she was telling me about her church saying that the doom is coming to Malaysia because Najib has been taking a lot of money and karma will come and bite. I'm like, wait, karma and church is kind of like, there's no karma in Christianity, is there? So, anyhow, I thought that, so I did a lot of homework and tried to understand, like, okay, how does the property market, how do you see value get derived, and where does the rental value come from? Why location A is better than location B? And then I thought about the best way to spread this info is a goddamn podcast. Right?
But I still feel in Malaysia it's a challenge. Kudos to you guys who are listening, and to us who also listen to a little bit of podcast. But yeah, it's not really as much of a culture here in Malaysia as it is in other Western countries. So I think this is still like alternative media.
Alternative.
Yeah, alt squared.
Okay, alt squared.
So I don't think we're gonna get to the masses, but we're gonna get to the people who I guess count and like,
who will be interested, who really want to hear a detailed analysis. And like, I was thinking about talking to like different pros and people who have made it in the property market, people who have studied. There's one website that I really like, and they don't sponsor me to say this, but it's called Copy and Property. And yeah, everything is solid. The number makes sense. The work makes sense. Supposed to plug me in, but I plugged them in. Yeah.
Anyway, so podcast is gonna be the best way to do it.
Yeah, and from there I was like thinking like, maybe we should not stop at talking about property, because property is a very slow thing. It's not like stocks. It's not like businesses where things change very fast. Property is a very slow thing. You buy something, 10 years later you make money. What do you expect? That's how it runs. Yeah. Right? And I thought, then I'll have like 2 fucking episodes. Doesn't make sense. So I thought about like the number of things that we can talk about, and of course one of the main things is that we don't talk about our own culture lah. And I myself, I'm pretty ignorant, man, of my own culture. Like I'm like, as a Chinese also, I'm not Chinese enough,
I understand.
I got the date wrong, for like Chinese New Year. Yeah, I thought it was Monday. I was wishing people like, Selamat Tahun Baru Cina, bro. I was like, it's tomorrow, man. I'm like,
oh man.
Okay. Roads are pretty clear, so
that is just terrible, man.
Disgraceful, man.
But no, I completely understand. I don't feel like I'm the most Punjabi as well.
Dude, what's a Punjabi like?
You have good mastering of the language at the very least. I guess you eat a lot of Indian food.
And you eat McDonald's, is it?
And I eat McDonald's? No, I mean, I just don't eat that much Indian food, I guess.
Yeah, actually, that's a true thing. Because I don't remember myself eating a lot of Chinese food too. Now to think about it.
Oh, I eat Chinese food all the fucking time, man. I feel Chinese food is my favorite food.
Really?
Yeah.
Like what specifically?
Wonton mee comes to mind, like a good char kway teow. I also like a nice like chap fan spread, you know? Economy rice
Really?
spread. Yeah. I think that'll be good.
Oh, I didn't know that because I don't like enjoy chap fan probably because I've been eating like a lot of times in my life. So I actually like eat a lot of curry.
I still take a little bit of the curry from the chap fan place.
Yeah. But it's not as nice as like, mutton
it's
ravuval,
not,
it tastes just whew.
But for me it's
Some
because
korma.
I have it at home, I guess. I have Indian food at home.
Huh.
So like I don't want to go out and fucking eat the same thing.
Right, same lah.
Yeah.
I got Chinese food at home, bro. It's things like this, guys. I think it's exactly things like this that we want to find out because I think mainly because we come to this piece of land on different times, right? And we hope to get a historian come in and talk about this as well. So as far as I know that of course Parameswara came first and he brought a bunch of people with him, and then of course the Indian and the Chinese came much later in time. But what I think is interesting is that I think we talk about this with Afiq as well, that if you go look at kampung, mostly they are all very, like it's all the same group of people. It's a Malay kampung, Chinese kampung, Indian kampung. It's very hard to find like a kampung where you have a healthy mix. Even if we talk about Bandar Utama today, it's known as a Chinese place. If you talk about Wangsa Maju, it's predominantly Malay. It's hard to know your neighbors if you don't stay next to each other. I think that's the point. Yeah, exactly. And it's hard for culture to exchange if you don't talk to each other
and like mix, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like years ago they were a lot more together. Like kampungs would have different races.
Yeah.
I mean, this is from stories, of the generation before us, 2 generations before us, who I feel like race then became a thing in the last 30
it's politicized,
years,
right?
Yeah. And in Malaysia, you are divided by political parties that are based on race.
Based on religion.
Your schools are based on race.
Mm.
So there isn't really any like catalyst to make people say, hey, I want to get to know the other person. Kind of thing.
Yeah. But it's always cool to have like, as a Chinese guy, I went to SRJKC, right? And it's funny because like the Malay dude or the Malay chick in my school is like, or the Indian one is like popular. Different, bro. Different. Speak Mandarin.
Different,
It's like, whoa. Other Chinese people, fuck off. You're not special.
Yeah. So I think this whole podcast also is trying to make people, like you said, find out a little bit more about your neighbors and like not just on the whole race or cultural thing, but just the stuff that's around you and in Malaysia, things that you wouldn't really think like, this kind of stuff existed in Malaysia,
Like what? Do you have an example?
Things like a Wim Hof trainer and like having
a
manual therapist
Yeah.
talk about how she moves organs just a slight bit so that your backache goes away.
Yeah.
It's fucking crazy, man.
It's always interesting to talk to people who are at the tip of the spear. I think that's the thing, right? You learn so much more from them, and actually they do the work for us also lah, because they will be talking.
They're talking a lot.
But it's so fascinating, and I'm so happy like with the support that we got and the willingness for people to actually want to talk about their experiences, about the problems that some of the talk happens off camera, some of the personal talk happens off camera, and I think like from our understanding also, how they come to what they do was also motivated by something else, someone else. Yeah. And it's inspiring that there's really no one way to live, right? There's many ways to do things. And
Sweet.
Yeah.
Fuck, man.
So were you expecting this at all? Like what? Because I brought the idea to you, right? On that fateful day, and you were very happy to listen, and like I think throughout like Tell us a little bit.
Yeah. So at Nasi Lemak Lobster, where we didn't order the lobster. So before this, I was already doing podcasts and stuff like the Teh Halia podcast, Nutmegged. We were doing a minor podcast or a minor podcast. So I am already like friendly to the idea of podcasts. The only thing I felt about podcasts was that I'm saying the word podcast too many times now. The only like setback was that you have to get, I guess, people who really want to do it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because it takes a lot of time. Recording, editing, releasing.
The edit is
a lot of editing. Yeah. Like, actually, the style of podcast that we were doing back then required a lot of editing. I don't think this is going to require a lot of editing, so I also like it because, we're just leaving it. It's long form. You hear the whole conversation.
Yeah, and you see us putting our foot into our mouth, we do our best.
Yeah, I'm not trying to save time or, present like a limited show.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, especially when we're talking to people who are really opinionated, really smart, and tip of the spear. The last thing you want to do is give them 10 minutes to talk about like what they practice. It's not going to get the content out. It's not going to get the feel out. You won't learn much, I feel. It's like watching news.
It's like watching news, yeah. So when you said you wanted to do it and you were, interested, I kind of knew you as well as being like, driven guy. So, yeah, just got to doing it. I mean, we recorded the first few episodes without even having a name.
Yeah.
So we just wanted to get it down.
Get it done.
And now we are venturing into this new podcast called Teroka. Which means venture, by the way. Or explore.
How's the journey like for you so far with our guests?
Yeah, pretty interesting. I like this space. It's a friend's business. It's pretty interesting to come in here. Even our guests, when they come in here, they're like, whoa.
Yeah, you sell this? I mean, that's what Evelyn said, right? You sell this? What? What's all this?
Your friend sells this. Yeah. So, begitulah ceritanya.
Yeah.
And so we are here now.
Okay. How more? Okay, maybe we have like 5-10 minutes more. Let's kick it off with some racial discussion, man.
My race is better than yours.
Which race are we talking about? 100 meter, 200? No. So, recently, Malaysia Baharu, very tutti subject, after the Cameron's by-elections, was it? Elections. And it's still there. Racism is still a part of our culture, apparently for now. It's here to stay. And I think one of the main points that I want to talk about, and I want to see like more of this kind of conversation going on. Obviously, we're trying to get a few individuals to talk about this as well. Is that we know the differences, but we don't really talk a lot about how we want to bridge the gap. Right? So today we know that, okay, there's a predominantly Malay area, Chinese area, Indian area. Then how do we get these guys to come together and do stuff together? And if I think about it, so we went through this a lot when we were trying to get our name before we settled on Teroka. The amount of food that we thought about, because when we thought about this podcast and the podcast name, we wanted it to represent what Malaysia really is.
Yeah.
And the only goddamn thing that we can think of is food. We gotta have more than that, right?
But it's a massive thing, and like it actually, when you were saying that, it unites all of us.
It's true,
because we may not like speak to other races, but you would eat
their
another
food.
race's food.
Yeah,
which is crazy as well, because there is some sort of racial integration there.
Yeah,
just not on like a human or personal level,
Yeah. So that's what's going on. Like we need more connection point than just food. Like it's great that we enjoy each other's food. It's great that we love to eat, but also the story behind it, right? Also maybe I don't know, our media, the TV that we watch, the songs that we listen to. So like as far as I can tell, it's funny that you have very Chinese, very non-Chinese Chinese, very Indian, not that Indian. There's a spectrum of like how rooted you are in the identity, and it's related to the language that you speak. And the more English you speak, probably you consume English media and you get westernized. And we have a lot of different Malaysians, and again the question becomes like, how do we then get along and talk to each other?
No, wait. You were saying, you're talking about that, and I'm gonna ask you, do you think you are westernized?
Dude, I'm very westernized, man. I think, yeah.
Does that then, affect, your view of being Malaysian? Do you feel that you have been, there is a bias in you?
How do you mean bias?
I mean, now you are, like, to put it in like conspiracy kind of slang, right? You are like indoctrinated now by the Western way of
indoctrinated.
Maybe we're not meant to mix, and like we're supposed to stay separate.
Nah.
Huh. Maybe
No,
we're
I don't
not
think
meant
so.
to have freedom of speech.
That's tutti. That's a tutti subject, man. Freedom of speech. I don't know. I think a lot of things we have to look at things case by case. Personally, what I experienced in my life is that when I went, I'm not gonna lie, I grew up watching Astro, and I grew up watching a lot of Western media, and so I get this idea you're Chinese, your parents don't hug you lah. That's just it, right? And when you watch it on show, and you're when you're young, maybe you're craving for that touch,
Right,
craving for some love, and you get this idea of how love should be. You get this idea that you need to have open communication, which I think is true. And I think because my parents, they come from a different generation, my dad don't talk about his feelings, man. But I find that I talk about my feelings all the damn time. So that's my girlfriend. And so definitely there is a difference. But I think what really changed for me was that when I went overseas, I went to Europe for travel, and I went to a music festival in Europe as well. And I faced some racism there. And it left a very bad taste in my mouth. And it's probably the very first time that I faced any racism. Like I say, I was brought up in the Chinese community. I have limited exposure to other races. And all the exposure that I have, people are very nice. You don't really feel that different from I don't feel that different from my Malay friends, my Indian friends. But when I go outside and they look at us as Asians, this one goddamn label. Yeah. And which is fine, but they started making jokes. They started being passive aggressive, and then outright aggressive after drunk. And I experienced racism. And I was really angry. And and I think when people are racist against you, you tend to do the same thing back. Because then you say these bunch of angmos. You just generalize them, fucking white boys. You start to talk like that.
Tak mandi.
It's
berak tak basuh.
Modern konon. Yeah. And good thing that I experienced it when I was older. I think I was 26, 27 back then, and I remember oh shit, is this how people feel here? So
as you were telling me that story, for me it's the opposite.
Hmm.
For me as a kid, I faced a lot of racism. So much racism. Like being a Punjabi boy on top of that I was in a boys' primary school.
Oh shit.
And there were other Punjabis, but you would get called names.
Yeah, Punjabi are not the major type of Indians.
No,
right?
So Punjabis, Sikhs lah, basically, right?
Usually there's more southerners, right?
Quite minority. And you would get so much of racist remarks from other students, not teachers and all that, right? But then when I later on left Malaysia to go study in the UK, I felt that there was less racism there. And you are more accepted for being different, for being, your own self, and
I guess diversity happened.
People understand diversity more in the West rather than Malaysia.
Yeah. But then again, do you think it's a boy thing?
Do you think it's a?
It's a boy thing. You went to an all-boys school and you guys are young, and you know, some kids, they grew up in a family that, you know, father, mother abused them or something verbally or like physically, and then they feel like, you know, insecure, and then they go to school, they see you, ha ha.
Nah, but
No?
you get that. I mean, primary school was a boys' school. Secondary school was co-ed.
And you still
You
get
were
that?
still there, yeah. There was this
shit.
really popular fish back then, you know, Lohan.
No, man.
Had like a
Oh,
a
yeah.
ball
Oh,
on
I
their
have
head.
one, man. Yeah.
So they used to call me that.
Because of the turban.
Because, like, you know, I had like a
dude.
ball of hair here.
Oh, Jesus.
So just shit like that you have to deal with.
Huh.
Of course, there's still racism in the West, but like, to me, like, I didn't get a lot of it when I was there. So personally, my experience has shown me that people there are more accommodating of people being different.
Yeah.
There's this whole thing now of like not using the word tolerance. Did you see that?
Is this recent?
Because tolerance, I think so. I can't remember where I came
Holy
across
Christ.
it. But tolerance is actually a negative word because it's saying that
You need to put
you're
up
fucked
with-
up.
Yeah.
But, you know, I'll tolerate it.
Yeah.
It's bad, but,
Yeah.
you know, it teaches me racial tolerance, which
Yeah.
means certain races or certain things that some races do are fucked up and you're supposed to tolerate it.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to tolerate it. You're supposed to, accept or like, it's not a bad thing. Something like that. Yeah.
I'm going to be the devil's advocate. I kind of see the point, but I think if you're a Buddhist, if you're a hardcore Buddhist, and you're a vegetarian, and if you see like someone kill a cow, you don't really it's very hard to draw a line though.
That's
I'm
accepting.
struggling.
You're supposed to just be.
Yeah, but I mean, because I'm a Buddhist myself, I will accept like this is your culture and this is what you do. But if one day you go like, is it true that this is good for the cow? Is this humane? We should reconsider this. I'll be like, yeah, reconsider, bro. Then have I been accepting all this while, or have I been tolerating all this while?
Yeah.
So where's the line? Like it's very blurred. Like I can't it's hard for me to like categorize it. And I think one of the main problem with racism is that sometimes people are overly sensitive, bro. It happens, right? We can't deny. Some people are just, very willing to yell racism for anything or sexism for any ism for anything. And it's like, do you really want to use that lens to look at the world, especially in a multiracial country? Or do we want a better lens and leave these for the last thing? So are we going to assume that certain things that don't happen to us because of different skin color is because of racism or sexism or any ism? Or do we just want to just look at the topic itself first before we put in any labels? Yeah. And I find that when I look at the West and I look at the US politics especially, this is how it works. And to some extent, this is how we work. Every election, there's going to be a racial card. You know it by now. Perkasa is going to say something funny to us. But, and there's Isma as well, right? Last round. Isma, ISMA, was it?
No. What is Isma?
Oh, they are like Perkasa 2.0.
Another ism.
Yeah, it's just a Perkasa 2.0. And there was this guy also, Robert Ridwanti, I think, who is a professor, but he's also, he's weird because he's Chinese, converted into Malay, and he say a lot of racist stuff. Yeah. Okay, maybe not racist. Racially provocative stuff. Yeah, I don't want to get sued.
But yeah, so we hope to be talking a lot about interesting stuff. There's not going to be a genre to this show, right?
No. But I think we planned it out
that it's going to be open as whatever that comes across, sparks an interest in us.
Yeah.
We'll just get it.
We are hoping for historians, psychologists, sociologists, whoever that is a gist.
Yeah. We hope to Teroka the mind a little bit more, maybe.
Yes.
We hope to Teroka cultures a little bit more.
And some of these things, I think, like right off the bat, I guess we can safely say that it's going to be uncomfortable for us talking about it, and I think for our listeners as well, who might feel a bit emotional if we talk about racial things, because there's a lot of like pent up anger. So I don't think we got into too deep the last time we did it with Afiq. This Chinese girl who works in Honda, who lost her job after that fireman wasn't safe, and she basically said some ridiculous nonsense.
Yeah.
And she lost her job. And my gripe is that, should company be regulating this now? Okay lah, to be fair, she's a sales staff lah, so probably she deserved it. But you can also she's the face of the company, right?
Yeah.
But also, like, her statement is also indicative of the frustrations that she feels towards that particular religion, and the kind of I think propaganda that was spewed out of it.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it's pure frustration instead of like real hatred.
And it's just a way to like let it out.
Yeah.
Like how you said at the music festival, the more you get it, the more you just want to like...
Yeah, you let it out. And it's not... And what's interesting, recently I just watched, is that, you know, Liam Neeson? He talked about how... He got a lot of backlash for this, which I thought was ridiculous. He talked about the time when, 40 years ago, so I think when he was around 20-year-old guy, I think he was staying in Ireland, so that time they have the whole, like, Catholic Protestant war there. And basically, his friend got raped. Okay, and then he went and asked her, like, you know, hey, do you see his face? Who is this guy? How tall? What skin color? All these things. And they found out it's a black dude. And so what happened is that I think he carried a stick, walked through the black neighborhood for like...
He said, I'm going to come. I'm going to find you.
Dude, he literally did it, bro. But he couldn't find, like, because he just know that it's a black guy. So basically, he go and find any random black guy. And he wanted to start a fight so he can, like, take his anger out on someone.
Holy shit.
Yes, this is on the back of the interview to promote his new movie. And the interviewer asked him, like, how do you channel that vengeance? And he related this story. Because he wanted vengeance for his friend who was raped. And he got tremendous amount of backlash. I mean, he was just talking about how he felt, and thankfully he didn't kill anybody. He's not racist. I don't think so. Because if it's any Irish guy, if it's any Brit, I think he would have went the same way. Yeah. And so I think this kind of topic makes people really uncomfortable, and right off the bat you can see a lot of people on Twitter saying that, oh, Liam Neeson, this is white privilege, this is a symptom of that. But hang on a minute. Let's not jump the gun first and try to understand, like, what's the moral here? What's the idea here? You know, he's not saying that go kill black guys. He's definitely not saying that. Yeah.
Could have been a redhead. Could have been a guy without, an eye.
Yeah.
Could have been anything.
Yeah. And the funniest thing is that how then he realized he has an anger problem, and how he does it is that he goes for a power walk for 2 hours, guys. And like, this is the kind of self-realization that, when we are listening to other people talk, we tend to think. And when we tend to think, sometimes we think about things that make us uncomfortable. We get emotional, and then maybe we want to lash out. Before you start typing on the comment section of YouTube or Reddit or whatever, lawyat.net, just relax first for a while. Breathe. Listen to episode 2 to start first if you're an angry person.
But yeah, take a step back, think about it, and like then make the decision of, is it gonna let me? Is it gonna affect me, and make me act, or like just step back. All right.
I think that's it.
So yeah, please continue to listen to us. You can follow us on Facebook and Instagram.
And subscribe. Hit the notification button on YouTube. So you get updated stuff. We are, of course, going to be on iTunes. We have our own website. We're going to do all that. And and our sponsors. Do you want to talk about sponsors at this time?
Nah, I don't think so. We're still like trying to ink the deal.
All right.
As in what? You want to ask for sponsors? Anybody who wants to sponsor? Sure, yeah, man.
As you can see, we are in this glamorous studio with top-notch equipment of an iPhone, tripod stand.
Purple mic, purple. Orange mic.
Orange mic, bro. Colorblind. Yeah. Purple shirt.
Just switch out.
Yeah. So like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Jesus, what the fuck. All right, guys. I think that's it from
man.
us.
I think that's it, man.
Yeah.
We've done it.
Done it. All right.
Ciao. And keep exploring.
You work on that closing speech, man.
Yeah.
Okay.